So we come to the end of this seed conference, online seed conference, so quickly. And just listening to the various speakers today, I realized the struggle that we had, determining what to discuss, determining what to share. And listening to Pastor Peter and Dihana, I could sense the care flowing from the speakers. Mrs. Fisher, Pastor Carl, when they spoke, I could sense that they care deeply about everyone out in the marketplace, trying to deliver a good biblical worldview educational solution into their communities. And it's such a struggle to determine what is really the most important thing that we want to share with you. We had the same struggle the other night when we had a Global Reps meeting. And we have a conference in November, a 3-day conference. And Mrs. Kirkland asked us, so what topics do you want us to discuss? And I sat there and I thought, I don't know. We are facing so many challenges. Do we want more information? Yes. But on the other hand, I was bombarded with information over the last 18 months about what's happening in the world, about the pandemic that's happening, the challenges with treatment and certain injections and stuff. There's so much information coming your way, and then you look at this person offering his view and that person offering their view. And yeah, it's easy to say we want more information, but information is just amidst all the other views that are shared. And so many times we find that there are people that are pro something and there are people anti something. We're sitting in the middle, and more information will not really help us to decide what is right and what's wrong. So it's so difficult sometimes to know what you need. And how much more difficult it is for people to stand away from you and then determine what is it that you need. But what we have decided is that what is in our hearts is what we want to share. We want to share from our head office, the ACA head office in the South Pacific Indonesian region. We want to share what's in our heart, and that's a deep care and a deep love for all our partners in the marketplace. People who, like us, want to see that there's a biblical worldview solution, educational solution that we can offer to families and specifically to students. So as an educator, you are sitting there today and saying, so what do I need to share on to students? And it's so easy to have a solution that is in a hard copy format that we can just place on the desk in front of a student and say, it's easy, just follow the sequence. When you're done with this, you progress to the next. It is so helpful, especially in some of our countries, as we've heard from the testimonials, where they found it difficult to continue with educating the children, even in lockdown. And we're so grateful for that. But for you as an educator, to be effective, to be an inspirational role model to the students that you are responsible for, you need to develop yourself. And development starts with committing your life to Jesus Christ. To take care of yourself, as we've heard from Dihana earlier. You first need to look after yourself. And then you minister, then you teach from who you are into the lives of those that you are responsible for. So in thinking about the second session and what I can share with you, I think you've picked up in the first session that I'm trying to encourage us to take the time, now that we are forced to be in isolation, now that we are forced to reconsider all the options around us, not to play around in social media and watch all the stuff that is available. Some of them might be good. A lot of them is just wasting our time and enriching the social media owners. But what I want to say today is that you need to search for those things that can inspire you, for those things that will enrich your life and will make you more effective as a leader, as a teacher, and especially as a role model responsible for younger people. So I want to just start up again by saying it was so good to have you all here at the Seed Conference, and I want to connect on with Pastor Peter, who said thank you for the team. If you could stand here and see the team, technical team, and the people working around, it's so good to know that we have the skills and the passion to connect with all of you out there. It's so good for taking time out. We know it's full to buy the time out and make sure that teachers in to sit together. Thank you for that. For all those individuals that connected individually, thank you for that. Everyone, we appreciate you so much, and you made this conference a great blessing to us here as well. I have grown just by watching the planning and the of this conference, and also preparing my heart for these sessions. I have grown. I hope that the same will happen with you. This afternoon, I want to again, just refer you to a gentleman with the name of Michael Simmons. He is a seasoned media and telecommunications executive who brought more than 30 years industry experience to a Unity Group Limited. It's one of the ASX companies in Australia. Now, I love watching successful people, and sometimes something happens somewhere that just brings someone to my attention. And then I try and study that person. I try and see what he's about, try and see what he's saying. And especially if someone has developed training material, normally what you apply in your life, you bring into training material, and then you relate to the people that you want to impact. So Michael Simmons has developed a great diagram. He's developed training material to inspire other people to be more effective. Now, the reason why I chose him is because there was a title in one of his articles, Learning How to Learn. The moment I saw it, something inside me stirred, and I decided to go and look up on his training material. And then I saw the diagram. Now, I love diagrams. I'm a person who thinks in diagrams. When people say, I see a picture and they describe pictures and stuff, I can't relate. When people say that I have a vision and they describe something, I can't relate. But when someone says, here's a diagram, I immediately sit up and want to look at the diagram. Maybe the reason it works for me is because I can take a diagram and dissect it. And I look at words in that diagram, and then I do further research of my own on that to understand what that word means. What's the definition of that word and how it's applied within the context. So when I saw this diagram and the title, Learning to Learn, immediately something stirred in me and I started doing some study on it. And I want to, in a very short way, relay it today to you to inspire you to learn how to learn. Because if you learn how to learn as an educator, then the students will benefit from that. So let's go through a few of these things that Michael Simmons has said. The first one is learning how to learn. That's in the diagram you will see on the 11 o'clock. There's this area, learning to learn, with a number of statements, just short statements. Now, I'm taking each of those statements and then I go and do further research on it to understand what this person is saying without doing his course. Sometimes these courses will cost you a few $1,000s to enrich yourself. But you can take a diagram like this and do your own research and still get a lot of benefit out of it. Now, learning how to learn, this is what Michael Simmons is saying, learning how to learn leads to a double exponential where you get 10 times the growth. So it's not just about learning. If it's just about learning, it will become a task that you do. But if you learn how to learn and you make it your own, you own your own responsibility to learn, then you will learn so much more. I remember days back in uni when we had to study this vast volumes of stuff. We had a system that we called spotting. You went through all the material and then you spotted certain parts of the material and say, this is definitely going to result in a question in the test or in the exams. So I was very good in spotting. I could feel what the lecturer is going to ask, and then I studied that well. And then I got quite high marks, and people thought I really mastered the work, but it was a lazy system. But it's not a wrong system, because you can get the qualification and then do your own studies in a different way. So learning to learn is something that can help you move forward without the frustration of learning everything that might not feel relevant to yourself. The second one is meta tool usage and creation. Now, I'm not going to discuss it in depth. That's something that you should do yourself. But this thing that was said here was something that really struck a nerve with me. Understanding how to use tools is a skill set that will stay with you forever. So there are tools available, and so much more now than a decade ago, 3 decades ago, 4 decades ago, when I started to take studying to get qualifications serious. There are so many tools that we can use, and you, in learning how to learn, must master certain tools. And the tools become so obsolete so quickly. But if you train yourself in using the available tools, then it will help you forever. Just over the number of years that I've been around doing stuff, I've seen how we started working with tools, electrical tools with a cord, and it helped us a lot. But over the years, more and more tools were developed, and it's amazing to see what people can do with certain tools. If you are sometimes going on TikTok and you see, I love watching these little clips of how they do renovations to houses. And you see the tools that people are using, you say, my goodness, I could have done that job in 10 minutes instead of 10 hours, just by getting the right tool and using it in the right way. The next one is goal setting. Now, I can talk a lot about goal setting. As a learner, in learning to learn, you need to set goals for yourself of what you want to achieve by when. If you don't do it, you are aiming to not make progress at all. Goal setting is so important, but the thing that jumped out in Michael Simmons' material is the fact that he has referred to Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk, I think, is still the richest man in the world. And if you study his history and his past, you will see that he's also connected to South Africa, where they traveled in a motorhome through the deserts of Namibia and South Africa. And from that humble upbringing to becoming the richest man in the world, and you ask, how did he do it? But the fact that Michael Simmons is also referring to Elon Musk in goal setting, it's very clear that he set certain goals. And he said, this is what I want to achieve. And he's making statements at the moment of new things that he is doing, and people are criticizing him. And some of the biggest organizations in the world has started to work together to try and curb the growth of Elon Musk's activities that he is involved in at the moment. So others are targeting him to slow him down, but he has set goals for himself of what he wants to achieve. Goal setting is so very important. Set goals for yourself in learning how to learn, and grow yourself so that you can have a greater impact on the students that you are impacting. The next one is cause and effect. Now, everything in this world has a cause with an effect. Whether you want to understand that or not, there's a cause and effect in everything. And the better you understand what causes what, the better you can solve problems. So it's not a matter of just looking at the problem and say, how will I deal with the problem? You need to go a little bit further and say, what caused this problem? And there's so many causes in this world. And believe you me, that the people that are involved in and around you, they have an agenda. And some of their activities will impact you. And some of the activities of people around you will impact your school. And you need to understand the cause. And when you see a problem, then you need to see this problem is a result of this cause. And the better you understand the causes, the better you can be at solving the problem. The next one is prioritization. Now, one of our disciplines as a ministry is we need to set our priorities. When we walk up the steps here, set your priorities. And we know that we have as the first priority to seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. Seek first above everything else. We need to seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. And then the rest of the stuff will be added unto us. So we can follow diagrams and we can follow methods to improve ourselves. But if it's not based on the foundation of seeking first the kingdom of God, then a lot of it will be futile. We might become successful. We might become rich. We might have assets that other people envy. But it's not about that. It's about pleasing our Father's heart. It's about making sure that we understand our purpose in life. And also in knowing that God has a purpose with each of the students in our learning centers, and it's our responsibility to equip them for their God-ordained role in this life. Now, just two things that I want to say about it. It's always first things first. If you can't tell what is first, then you will not be effective in growing yourself. There are principles that we have to adhere to. And we need to put those principles first. It is so important. So to prioritize, it's really important. And then in this, you will also find the Pareto Principle. And sometimes we forget about this, and then we get so frustrated with life. We get so frustrated with the groups that we're in. We get so frustrated with our teachers and with the school, not understanding the Pareto Principle, and that is that 20% of the people you will work with will do 80% of what you want to achieve. 80% of the people will just walk with you. 80% of the stuff that happens is important, but not determining the outcome. And we need to prioritize and focus on those 20% of the people that will really help us across the line. We need to focus on those 20% of the tasks that are really the keys to our success and to our breakthrough. So learn to prioritize when you are learning to learn. And then compound interest. When we talk about this in financial terms, people know what it's worth. If you start investing in a pension fund or in a superannuation when you're young and you make small contributions over 40 years, by the time that you're 40, you might be in a position where you can retire comfortably. It's those small little things that we do on a regular basis that will determine where we will be in a few decades from now. I use the term take massive action that I've learned from Tony Robbins. Take massive action. And then people sit up and say, what is this big thing that we want to do? No, it's not one big thing. It's doing something every single day. Take 10 minutes, take half an hour every day to improve your learning, to learn how to learn, to improve who you are as an educator, as a leader. Compound interest is based on the power of doing small little things every day. Most people undervalue the power of consistently doing small things that add up over time. Now, Tony Robbins has a beautiful story that he tells about two people going to play golf and the various ways of waging, betting against each other. And it's a beautiful story that will help you understand this so beautifully. Do not neglect doing something small every day to improve who you are as a leader, to improve who you are as a teacher. That is going to add up over the years. And then if you learn how to learn and you want to improve yourself and you get knowledge and there's not a behavior change, then you are wasting your time. Then something must be wrong. So behavior change is so important. That should be the outcome of your gaining of knowledge, of your research that you're doing. What and how is this going to change my life? How is this going to change the way that I lead? How is this going to change the way that I teach? If we don't do that, if we don't implement our knowledge into a behavior change, then we are wasting our time to a large extent. Many people aren't able to turn their intentions into habits because of, and here it comes, one of the P words that I don't like to use, procrastination. Sometimes we put off. We get the knowledge and we think, okay, I'll implement this next week, or I'll implement it next month. I'm just waiting for this to come before I do the next step. Don't procrastinate. If you learn something and it touches a nerve in you, start implementing it immediately. then it will become a habit if you do it regularly. And can you see the difference between doing one big thing versus doing a number of small things every day? If you do a number of small things every day to improve who you are, to improve your skills, then it becomes a habit. If you rely on one big thing, then you put in a lot of effort, do it, and then afterwards you relax and nothing changes. So we need to make sure that there are behavior changes that takes place in our lives. The next one is cognitive biases. The most important tool we have as a human being is our mind. Our mind is so important, and we need to understand our mind. I love the fact that we had Dihana here, who's got a master's in psychology, that can sometimes stir us up to think about the power of mind. As Christians, as pastors, we focus so much on the power of spirit. And it is first spirit, because we are a spirit being. Our Father is a spirit. The Holy Spirit is leading and guiding us. So yes, it is about spirit, but never underestimate the power of mind. And we need to understand that it's the most important tool that we have. It's stronger and it's longer lasting than any body part that we have. Yesterday I shared with you about Sean Killian, who lost his legs, who had a massive heart attack, who almost died a few times, but he came back time and time again. What is pulling him through? It's not his body, because that's failing. It's his mind. He has set his mind on achieving something. He is passionate about helping people out in the marketplace, teaching students to help them to get better. Don't underestimate the power of your mind. But unfortunately, because we're human beings, and because we are influenced with what's around us, there are certain biases that determine the way that we will think. And we need to understand that and then have ways of overcoming it. Saying, when I look at 7 billion, 8 billion people around me, the bulk of them are poor and they are suffering, so that is my end as well. No, we can actually rise up by just applying our mind. And this is what we should teach our students as well. And we are reaching into the rural villages where people don't have what some people in other parts of the world have. And why are we doing it? To just go there and teach them how to read and to read and to write? No, that's not all. We want to give them the opportunity to understand that if they apply their mind, they can actually rise to the next level. Then the next one is network building. Never underestimate the value of a network. There are networks in everything around us. And even in learning to learn, if you do what I'm doing and what I'm suggesting you do, by studying various people and various organizations, what they are offering to other people, you can actually, through getting involved in that network, you can actually grow yourself. Networks appear everywhere. You have networks in your brain, whether you know it or not. You have networks in your community, whether you know it or not. You have networks everywhere. And we need to understand it. And by understanding the patterns of certain networks, you will get better results. So you need to look at the network and try and understand the dynamics in that network. And through doing that, you will actually become better at getting the right information that will grow you as an individual. The next one is problem solving. Problem solving is so important. And unfortunately, our lives are full of problems. So if you don't have the skills to solve problems, you will let problems control your life. So we need to improve ourselves. We need to learn how to solve problems. Great leaders look for problems and have frameworks that help them solve problems better. It's not a case of some people are just luckier than others and they didn't have the problems that some of us are facing. All people face problems. And the more effective you become and the more successful you become, the more the problems will become. The high trees catches most of the wind. As I've said earlier, Elon Musk is being targeted by a lot of organizations now. They are trying to set up competition to the solutions that he has in this world. So you will face problems, and how you solve the problems will make you better in life. Then this next one, I looked at it and I had quite a bit of a smile on my face. Scientific method. If you want to learn how to learn, you need to understand that there is scientific method. Now, some of the stuff that's mentioned there, if you have been involved with any scientific process before, you will understand it. There will be controlled experiment. There will be that repeatability. There will be that randomized design, the controlled placebo. There will be peer review, and you will have to try and determine the falsification factors in it. So if you, and this is my statement, if scientific methods are used with integrity, it can lead to an explosion of knowledge. Unfortunately, a lot of people are trying to manipulate scientific method to try and drive their agenda. And we need to be careful of that as well. So we need to, when we do research, not just take what people are saying, but sometimes just dig in a little deeper and say, let me understand how they came to their conclusion. That's part of learning to learn. Not just taking what's coming your way and say, they said this. Who are they? How did they come to their conclusion? So we need to sometimes just dig in deeper and understand that there's scientific method behind it. And then, opportunity. I had the opportunity this last 18 months because of COVID and the way it changed everything and the way that it changed my busy life. I had the opportunity to look at the opportunities that I had in life. And I realized that to a large extent, every blessing that came into my life was an opportunity that presented itself, and I decided to step into that opportunity. Now, if you are learning to learn, you will know that in obtaining more information and getting connected in networks and in getting more information and growing yourself, opportunities will arise because of your upskilling, because of you growing yourself, because of you applying yourself to other people and helping them in life. It is through other people and through networks and through being prepared that you can step into an opportunity. Opportunities will present itself all the time. Right now, in the school where you are, right now, in the church where you are, right now, in your community, you are connected with people. And sometimes when you are preparing yourself for something new, for something better, God will just whisper in your ear. Or God will speak to someone else, and you will stand there and you hear something, and then you will step into your opportunity. I've shared the story a number of times. A person that I know served a Christian leader, and he was serving him, he's still serving him as far as I know. He was serving him in outreaches and crusades by just standing there and keeping the insects at night away from him when the spotlights are on the stage. And he tried to keep him as comfortable as possible, even having a little fan to wave him cool when it was very hot. And then when people come to this spiritual leader and ask them, do you think this is something worthwhile to pursue? Do you think I should continue with this? I believe this is what God has told me to do. And he will sit there and he will pray with them and he would say, yes, Daddy says, you can go for it. And then this other gentleman will connect himself with them and say, what are you doing? Where are you going? And he would invest in those things because he heard God said, this is it. So he used in his serving the opportunities that he heard of is of God, and he invested in that, and he became a billionaire because of that. So opportunities will present itself, and you can step into it if you first seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness, if you are trying to grow yourself, and if you are trying to learn how to learn and then share that with others. So opportunities is something that will come your way. But don't just wait for opportunities. Cultivate your own opportunities. What do I mean by that? If you get involved in networks, if you're getting involved with projects, if you're getting involved with helping people, and if you are willing to study and do research on certain things, you cultivate your own opportunities. Be prepared, have knowledge, have systems and tools to make the most of every opportunity coming your way. And you can become a brilliant leader, and you can become a brilliant teacher. And I want to inspire you today to know that if you learn how to learn, and you apply those principles daily in your life, make time every single day for something that will grow you, and turn that into a habit, and share that with others, then slowly but surely you will grow, and you will grow the people around you. And it's amazing that many years later, you will get the feedback, I respect you, I look up at you, and I want to follow you. I want to invest in what you're invested in because I know that will work. So if we do that, we will grow ourselves and we'll become more and more successful. You have time. Don't say that you don't have time. You have time for yourself. Make time for yourself, as we've heard earlier. First, put that oxygen mask on your face. First, grow yourself every day. And if you do it daily and it becomes a habit, you can start sharing that with others. And in sharing it, you will grow even more. And tomorrow you will find another opportunity to grow yourself. And before long, you might get that opportunity to step into something bigger and greater. And take those along who are supporting you. Share with them and see how we will grow better. So would you allow me to pray? Just a short, simple prayer at the end of this session. Dear God, you created us with so much potential. And Lord, in this lifetime, we will have so many opportunities to improve our lives and those around us. Help us, Lord, to learn in a disciplined fashion and teach those entrusted to us to do the same. In Jesus' mighty name. It was so good to be part of this conference and share with you. Please send us your feedback. And if you discover anything exciting, send it back to us. We want to grow with you. God bless you.